channel. If you're new here, I'm Shay. I am a reseller on the Poshmark app, and I share lots of thrift hauls and thrift related content, so if you are into that, go ahead and like and subscribe. Today my video is going to be about 20 boho brands to stock your Poshmark closet with. So I have a list here and I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I'm going to let you guys know what I think are some of the top brands that you should be carrying if you have a curated closet that is Bohemian style or more on the boho side of things. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the obvious one, which is Free People. If you guys don't know who Free People is, I will try to insert a clip of each of the tags. Free People is I think they're owned by Anthropology. They have beautiful pieces of clothing. They have everything from really like lacy stuff and very like flowy and dreamy things to more bodycon styles. They do a lot of really like Western inspired things. I really love their clothes. They're beautiful. So, and they do okay on Poshmark. They have sort of like a medium price range for most things. You can expect to get between like $20 and like $60 depending on what it is usually. So that's a good one to stock your closet. I like their basics too, so I always pick those up when I see them. Next is going to be Spell and the Gypsy Collective. That's another brand that I didn't know at first when I first started Poshmark, and I am so glad that I figured out what it was really quickly. I've been fortunate enough to find a couple of Spell pieces just thrifting in the binge, which I can't even believe. They're so expensive new. You're talking like $500, $600, $700 for a dress, and they hold their value really well. People collect them. They have beautiful patterns. We'll try and insert a picture of one of their patterns. They're just gorgeous. And so that's a really good one to stock your closet with. Another one is going to be Ralph Lauren Denim & Supply. They are very, I don't think they're doing this line anymore. They're sort of like a Western inspired line that they did. They used to sell it at Macy's, but I haven't seen it in a while, so I'm not sure. But I do like to pick up the pieces from this collection because they are very like prairie style, very Western. There's a lot of Southwestern prints. There's a lot of distressed denim and that kind of stuff. It does do fairly well. It doesn't do as good as it was doing before when I first started Poshmark, but it's still a really good one to stock your closet with as far as Bohemian style goes. The next one is going to be American Eagle, believe it or not. American Eagle does a lot of Bohemian styles. They do a lot of more flowy basics, a lot of really nice fabrics. They're very comfortable. They are really great with their denim. Their denim sells really quickly for me. It doesn't sell for a huge amount, but it is a consistent seller, and I highly recommend stocking your closet with it. Next is going to be Levi's. Levi's is really a brand for any style. They have cuts for everybody. They are such a classic. Right now, a good style of Levi's to look out for your closet is going to be anything high-waisted, button-fly jeans, specifically the 501 skinnies, which I actually am wearing, and wedgie fit jeans, also button-fly. And we're seeing a lot of the high-rise ribcage denim, which is a relatively new one that they've put out. If you find that, it's really good. It is super duper high rise, and it's like a 70s fit almost, so it's very like almost flared at the bottom, and anything flared also. Vintage Levi's, anything flared. So that's a great one to keep in your closet. Again, it varies on pricing. I expect to get usually between $25 and $45 for a pair of Levi's, depending on the cut. Obviously the newer cuts are worth more money, and then anything really old, anything vintage, some of the vintage ones can go for a couple $100, so keep that in mind. Next is going to be vintage. Anything vintage that's Bohemian. There is a lot of really great stuff from the 60s and 70s. You want to keep an eye out for anything with fringe, anything with Bohemian patterns, any sort of really lightweight like gauzy cotton materials, anything that is any leather or any fur goods. You get really lucky sometimes. You find stuff from like the 60s, from like at the peak of that like hippie style movement, and also anything crocheted, any like granny square stuff or anything like that. Always really good to pick up. And I love vintage in general, but it's very, very helpful for the Bohemian style. Vintage really plays well into that. Next is going to be Freebird by Steven. Is not owned by Steve Madden, just so you know. It's its own brand, but they do beautiful shoes. They specialize in boots, and they have tons and tons of Bohemian styles. They stock them on Free People. A lot of the Free People shoes are by Steven, and oh my gosh, they're gorgeous. I have been fortunate enough, I've probably already shared this video with you guys, but in my last video where I showed you the stuff that I picked up for my own closet, I shared with you a pair of Steven boots that I thrifted, and they're gorgeous. They're amazing. They're great quality. And they hold their value really well. I picked up a pair not too long ago that were in really rough shape. They were really beat up, and someone bought them for $150 in like not great condition, and the lady was like ecstatic. She was like, oh my gosh, I love this brand. I'll pick up anything by them. So they definitely have a following, so keep an eye out for those. Next is going to be another brand that Free People actually stocks, which is kind of funny. Jeffrey Campbell, or Campbell? Jeffrey Campbell? I think it's Jeffrey Campbell. Is another brand. They do a lot of trendy shoes, but they also do a ton of Bohemian styles. So they're really good for booties and sort of unique styled heels and sandals. So that's another brand that is in line with that Bohemian style that sells really well, and those hold their value really well also. Next is going to be Lucky Brand. Lucky Brand is one of those ones that it depends on the piece. They definitely are Bohemian sort of, they're like a Bohemian rocker sort of style, which is really more my personal style. But they have a lot of really cool patterns. They do a lot of great stuff with denim. They do a lot of graphic tees, which is really cool. Those resell for a good amount usually. And their shoes are really great. They're like leather goods in their shoes. So that's a good one to keep an eye out for. The next one's going to be Fossil. I don't believe Fossil is currently still in business. However, they have a lot of stuff out there. Their stuff holds its value, and I think it's fairly collectible. Their leather goods are really great. Their purses and their wallets. Also, their belts are really good to pick up. Next is going to be Steve Madden. Steve Madden is a classic. They have a lot of really trendy shoes that a lot of them are sort of whatever's trending, but you can find a lot of Bohemian stuff within the Steve Madden kind of umbrella. I recommend their leather boots. They resell fairly well. You're looking probably in like the $30 to $50 mark on those. So those are good ones to pick up. Next is going to be Anthropology. Anthropology is kind of a no-brainer. They are fairly like Bohemian, indie style. They have a lot, they have something for everybody really, but they have a lot of really cool Bohemian patterns and textures. They do a lot with like fringing and just different ethnic fabrics in general. That's another good one to look out for home goods as well. If you do home goods for your Poshmark closet, their home goods do really well. So, but that's a classic one to stock your closet with. So I highly recommend anything by Anthropology, but specifically they have like sub-brands that are more Bohemian than others, like Staring at Stars is a good one, Tiny is another good one. There are a couple others, but I'm not thinking of them off the top of my head. Sorry if the lighting is like randomly changing, by the way. It's like cloudy/sunny today, so it's kind of like going back and forth. But the next one's going to be Lack of Color. Lack of Color does primarily hats, but they are really good quality and they hold their value really well. And they're beautiful. They have really great hats. So they're usually a wide brim fedora style with some sort of banding detail around the hat. And those hold their value as well. You're looking at like $80 to $100 for a secondhand one. Next is going to be Birkenstocks. Birkenstocks are one of those brands that is also sold on places like Anthropology and Free People. They are classic. I personally don't like them as far as like how they look on my feet, but a lot of people swear by them and they're really comfortable. And they're made of leather, so they're a more durable shoe. So if you find those, they are a really steady reseller. They resell between like the $50 and $80 mark, depending on the style and how good the condition is. So I highly recommend those. Next is going to be Isabel Marant. Isabel Marant has a lot of really beautiful bohemian styles. They do a lot of really great patterns, and their stuff is high quality. Obviously, it's the designer piece. So if you ever find Isabel Marant while you're looking around, definitely pick that up. And number 16 is going to be Frye. Frye is really great. They do a lot of really great classics. They have great leather goods. Their stuff holds their value really, really well. They have all kinds of different styles. They're great for just about any style. If you ever find one of their bags, their purses hold their value excellent. I have not been lucky enough to find one, but I really, really hope I do at some point. So number 17 is going to be Panties. Panties can be under the umbrella of literally any brand. As long as it's a Banty and as long as the graphic is cool. Obviously, the more vintage they are, the more money they're worth. Generally, I expect to get between 20 and 30 for a Banty unless it's something really, really special. Or it's a higher end brand, like Trunk Ltd is another one within that umbrella of Banties that is really good to pick up. So Trunk Ltd, you have Daydreamer, which is another one that holds its value. That's a Revolve brand. And you have Lucky Brand does a lot of really great ones. So those are like top ones to look for. There are probably some others, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. In fact, I know there are others, I just can't think of them. But really, it doesn't matter what the tag is as long as the graphic is cool and the band is great. So I highly recommend stocking your closet with those. And number 18 is going to be Johnny Was. Johnny Was is a higher end brand. They're on the lines of Free People. They have a lot of really like beautiful embroidery and lace details. They have a lot of like very intricate looking pieces. And if you can get your hands on one that's a newer style, they really, really go for a lot. They hold their value as well. So you're looking at the $80 to $150 range probably for most of their pieces, secondhand, which is really good. And then we have number 19. We're almost at the end now. This one is a fairly new brand to me. I actually found this by accident the other day at the bins. I just like the style. I picked it up and I was like, oh, I'll look that up later. And I'm going to probably butcher it. It's Patek St Barth, I think is how you say it. I believe it's French. They have very, very pretty bohemian styles. They're actually kind of similar to Gypsy, Spell and the Gypsy Collective. So if you like that style, this is a good one to pick up as well. They seem to hold their value. When I was looking at the sold listings and the comps for it, we're looking at like $80 to $100 depending on what the item is. So definitely look up the item before you buy, but I would highly recommend grabbing them as well. And then lastly is going to be Emerson Frye. Emerson Frye has some really, really great pieces. They're more on the like boho rocker side of things, which I like. I've picked up some really great boots by them before. What is it? I think it's Curation by Emerson Frye. They have a line where they do everything is handmade in India by women. It's fair trade, so women who hand make everything, and they get paid a fair wage, and everything is sustainable. So I really, really love what they stand for in general as a brand, but also their products are excellent quality. They hold their value, and they're beautiful. So that's my last one for my 20 boho brands to stock your Poshmark closet. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you guys liked it, and if you did, don't forget to actually hit the like button and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so if you guys liked it, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!